What if I told you that the most powerful company in the mobile phone industry didn't lose because it was too small? It lost because it was too big to believe it could fail. Imagine standing on top of the world. Your products are everywhere. Your competitors are chasing you. Your logo is recognized in nearly every country on Earth. You control the market. Investors love you. Customers trust you. And then, almost overnight, everything begins to disappear. Would you see it coming? Or would you believe your success could last forever? This is the story of Nokia, a company that once connected billions of people, a company that dominated the mobile phone industry for more than a decade, a company that looked unstoppable. And yet, within only a few years, it lost everything it had spent decades building. How does a giant fall? How does the world's #1 phone company become an afterthought? Was it bad luck? Was it poor leadership? Or was it something far more dangerous? The belief that yesterday's success guarantees tomorrow's future. But before we talk about the fall, we need to understand the climb. Because every empire, no matter how powerful, has a beginning. Most people believe Nokia started as a technology company. It didn't. Long before smartphones, long before mobile phones, long before anyone imagined carrying the internet in their pocket, Nokia was something completely different. In 1865, deep in Finland, Fredrik Idestam founded a small paper mill near the Nokian Virta River. There were no phones, no computers, no electronics, only forests, water, wood, and a dream to build something meaningful. Imagine looking across endless forests, not seeing trees, but opportunity. That's exactly what entrepreneurs do. They don't see what exists, they see what could exist. As the years passed, that small paper business expanded. Rubber, cable manufacturing, electrical engineering. Nokia kept changing, kept adapting, kept evolving. Think about that. The company people now associate with mobile phones spent more than a century doing something completely different. Why? Because survival belongs to those willing to change. Every generation brought new challenges. Every decade demanded new decisions, and Nokia answered them again and again and again. By the late 19th century, something remarkable happened. The world was changing faster than ever before. Computers were becoming smaller. Communication was becoming faster. People no longer wanted to be connected only at home. They wanted freedom. Freedom to call anyone, from anywhere, at any time. Most companies hesitated. Nokia didn't. The company made one of the boldest strategic decisions in its history. It shifted its focus towards telecommunications. At the time, it looked incredibly risky. Imagine abandoning businesses that had existed for decades to bet on a future nobody could guarantee. Would you have taken that risk? Most companies wouldn't. Nokia did. And that decision changed everything. Throughout the 1980s and early 1990s, the company invested heavily in mobile technology. Engineers worked tirelessly. Designers imagined products people had never seen before. Leaders believed mobile phones wouldn't be a luxury. They would become part of everyday life. Many people doubted them. Why would ordinary people carry phones everywhere? It sounded unnecessary, expensive, impossible. But Nokia saw the future before the rest of the world did. And sometimes, seeing the future first is the greatest competitive advantage of all. However, nobody expected what happened next, because Nokia wasn't just about to enter the mobile phone market, it was about to conquer it. To be continued.
Have you ever wondered what it feels like to become number one? Not in your city, not in your country, but in the entire world. Imagine millions of people choosing your product every single day. Imagine walking through airports, shopping malls, schools, business offices, and seeing your name everywhere. That was Nokia. By the late 1990s, something extraordinary was happening. Mobile phones were no longer a luxury, they were becoming a necessity. And one company was leading the revolution: Nokia. The company didn't simply manufacture phones, it built trust. Every new model felt reliable, strong, simple. A phone you could drop and still expect it to work. A battery that lasted for days. A device people depended on. Think about that. Success isn't always created by being flashy. Sometimes it's created by being dependable. And that's exactly what Nokia became. Dependable, reliable, unstoppable. Year after year, its market share continued growing. Competitors struggled to keep up. Motorola, Ericsson, Siemens. One by one, they watched Nokia pull further ahead. Customers loved the design. Businesses trusted the quality. Families bought Nokia because it simply worked. By the early 2000s, Nokia had become the world's largest mobile phone manufacturer. More than that, it became a symbol of modern communication. Can you imagine reaching a point where nearly everyone knows your brand? Where billions of people recognize your ringtone before they even see your logo? That wasn't just marketing, that was cultural influence. Nokia phones were everywhere, in villages, in major cities, in developing countries, in global corporations. The company connected people across continents, and for millions of families, their very first mobile phone was Nokia. It seemed impossible to imagine a future without it. Then, something unbelievable happened. Nokia became too successful. Doesn't that sound strange? How can success become a problem? Because success creates confidence. Too much success creates certainty, and certainty can quietly become blindness. Imagine climbing the highest mountain. You finally reach the top. The view is breathtaking. Everyone admires you. Would you still feel the need to climb higher? Or would you believe you've already won? That's the danger of being number one. When everything works, you stop asking difficult questions. Inside Nokia, the company continued improving its existing phones. Better batteries, smaller designs, new colors, sharper screens. Each product sold millions of units. Revenue kept growing. Profits remained strong. Investors were happy. Employees were proud. From the outside, everything looked perfect. But hidden beneath that success, a silent storm was beginning to form. Not inside Nokia, outside it. In small offices, inside technology companies, people were imagining something completely different. Not a better phone, a smarter phone. A device that wasn't just for calling, but for living. Most people couldn't see it yet. Neither could Nokia. Have you ever focused so much on improving today's success that you completely missed tomorrow's opportunity? History shows this happens more than we realize. The companies that dominate one generation often struggle to understand the next, not because they're incapable, because they're comfortable. And comfort has ended more empires than competition ever has. While Nokia celebrated another successful year, another company was quietly preparing a product that would change history forever. A product with no physical keyboard, a device that many experts believed would fail, a product that looked completely different from anything the world had ever seen. Most people laughed at the idea. Many industry leaders dismissed it. Some even called it impractical. But one announcement would change the future of technology forever. And Nokia had no idea that its greatest challenge was about to walk onto a stage in California. To be continued.
Have you ever laughed at an idea only to watch it change the world? Because in January 2007, that's exactly what happened. A man walked onto a stage in California. He pulled a small device from his pocket. No physical keyboard, a large touchscreen, one simple button. Most people watching didn't realize it, but history was about to change forever. That man was Steve Jobs, and that device was the first iPhone. Imagine sitting inside Nokia's headquarters that day, the world's #1 phone company, years ahead of every competitor, billions in revenue, millions of loyal customers. Would you feel threatened, or would you smile, believing your position was untouchable? Many inside Nokia weren't impressed. Some believed the iPhone was too expensive. Others believed customers would never give up physical keyboards. Some thought the touchscreen was just a trend. After all, Nokia was selling hundreds of millions of phones every year. Why change something that already worked? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Why fix something that isn't broken? Sometimes that's the most dangerous question a successful company can ask. Because the future doesn't wait for comfort. It rewards courage. While Nokia continued perfecting yesterday's formula, Apple was inventing tomorrow's. The iPhone wasn't just another phone. It was a computer that happened to make phone calls. Think about that difference. Nokia believed people wanted better phones. Apple believed people wanted a completely different experience. One company focused on improving the product. The other focused on reinventing it. And that difference changed history. But then something unbelievable happened. Just 1 year later, another giant entered the battle. Google introduced Android. Unlike Apple, Google wasn't building just one phone. It was building an operating system that manufacturers around the world could use. Samsung, HTC, LG, Sony. Many companies suddenly had access to a powerful smartphone platform. Competition exploded. Innovation accelerated. The smartphone era had officially begun. Meanwhile, inside Nokia, fear was quietly growing. Not fear of competitors, fear of change. Imagine being an engineer with a bold new idea. Imagine believing the company needs to move faster. Imagine trying to convince leaders that the future is arriving sooner than anyone expects. But your voice disappears inside layers of meetings, approvals, and bureaucracy.
Many former Nokia employees later described a culture where people became afraid to deliver bad news, afraid to challenge decisions, afraid to admit that competitors were moving faster. Think about that. The greatest danger wasn't technology, it was silence. Because when people become afraid to speak the truth, even the smartest company can lose its way. Nokia still had brilliant engineers, brilliant designers, brilliant technology. The talent wasn't the problem, the mindset was. The company that once transformed itself from paper mills to telecommunications was now struggling to transform again. Isn't that ironic? The very company that built its success through change was now resisting it. Success had become its comfort zone, and comfort was becoming its greatest enemy. Market share began to fall. Customers started choosing smartphones. Developers built apps for Apple and Android. The ecosystem was changing. The rules were changing. The future was changing. And every month that passed made catching up even harder. Imagine watching everything you've spent decades building slowly slip away. Not because you stopped working, but because the world changed and you didn't change fast enough. However, the worst decision was still to come. A decision that would divide experts for years. A decision that many believe sealed Nokia's fate. And once it was made, there would be no turning back. To be continued.
What would you do if you suddenly realized that the company you spent decades building was no longer leading the future? Would you admit you were wrong, or would you hold on, hoping everything would somehow return to normal? Because that's exactly where Nokia found itself. By 2010, the warning signs were impossible to ignore. Apple was growing. Android phones were spreading across the world. Consumers were no longer asking, which phone should I buy? They were asking, which smartphone ecosystem should I join? That one change changed everything. Because people weren't buying hardware anymore. They were buying experiences, apps, services, updates, entire digital ecosystems. And Nokia wasn't ready. Imagine building the strongest ship in the world, only to discover that the ocean itself has changed. Your ship isn't weak, it's simply designed for yesterday's waters. That's what happened to Nokia. The company still built incredible hardware. Its engineers were among the best in the industry. Its manufacturing was world-class. Its brand was trusted across the globe. But the battle had changed, and Nokia was still fighting yesterday's war. Inside the company, pressure grew heavier every month. Sales declined. Market share continued falling. Employees became anxious. Investors demanded answers. Every meeting became more difficult than the last. Imagine walking into work every morning knowing the company everyone once admired was slowly losing its place in history. How would you feel? Would you still believe recovery was possible? Or would you secretly wonder if it was already too late? Then, something happened that changed Nokia forever. In September 2010, the company appointed a new CEO, Stephen Elop. For many people, he represented hope, a fresh perspective, a chance to save one of the world's greatest technology companies. Soon after becoming CEO, he wrote one of the most famous internal messages in business history. He described Nokia as a man standing on a burning oil platform. Imagine that image.
Behind you, the flames are getting closer. Below you, freezing water. If you stay, you burn. If you jump, you might not survive. But standing still is no longer an option. That message became known as the burning platform. It wasn't just a memo, it was a warning that Nokia had waited too long to change. Think about that. Sometimes the hardest truth is admitting that your greatest strength has become your greatest weakness. Then came the biggest decision in Nokia's history. Instead of continuing to develop its own smartphone platform, Nokia chose to partner with Microsoft. The company adopted Windows Phone as its primary smartphone operating system. Supporters believed it was the bold move Nokia needed. Critics believed it abandoned the company's own future too quickly. The world watched, waiting to see what would happen next. Imagine betting the future of one of the world's biggest companies on a single decision. The pressure must have been unimaginable. Employees worked tirelessly. New Lumia phones arrived. The designs were beautiful. The cameras impressed reviewers. The hardware was excellent. But something was missing: the ecosystem. Developers had already embraced Apple's App Store. Millions were building for Android. Consumers wanted the apps their friends used. And changing ecosystems is much harder than changing phones. The Lumia devices earned praise, but praise alone couldn't stop the momentum of Apple and Android. Every quarter, Nokia lost more ground. Every report brought more painful headlines. The company that once dominated the world was now fighting simply to survive. Have you ever realized that sometimes being good is no longer enough? Because the market doesn't reward what was best yesterday, it rewards what creates tomorrow. And Nokia was learning that lesson the hardest way possible. But the most heartbreaking chapter had not yet arrived, because the company that once connected the world was about to make one final decision that would leave millions of people speechless. To be continued.
What does it feel like to watch an empire disappear? Not because people stopped respecting you, not because your employees stopped working hard, but because the world moved forward and you couldn't move with it. Imagine walking through Nokia's headquarters, the same hallways that once celebrated record-breaking sales, the same offices where engineers dreamed about changing the world, the same meeting rooms where leaders planned the future of communication. Now, the atmosphere was different. The excitement had become uncertainty. The confidence had become silence. The company that once led the world was now trying to survive it. Can you imagine how painful that must have been for thousands of employees who had dedicated their lives to Nokia, for engineers who believed they were building the future, for families whose livelihoods depended on the company? This wasn't just a business story anymore. It was a human story, a story about dreams, careers, sacrifices, and the painful reality that even giants can fall. Then, the moment nobody wanted arrived. In September 2013, Nokia announced that it would sell its devices and services business to Microsoft. Think about that for a moment. The company that once was the undisputed king of mobile phones was selling the very business that made it famous. Millions of people around the world couldn't believe it. How could this happen? How could the company that once dominated the industry lose everything? It wasn't one bad product. It wasn't one bad decision. It wasn't one competitor.
It was years of small decisions, years of moving too slowly, years of believing that yesterday's success would protect tomorrow. Success had created confidence, confidence had created complacency, and complacency had opened the door for competitors. Have you ever noticed how failure rarely happens overnight? It happens one ignored warning at a time, one delayed decision at a time, one moment of comfort at a time. Then something unforgettable happened. During Nokia's farewell event, Stephen Ellop stood before employees. Many people in the audience were emotional. Some were fighting back tears. Some had spent decades building the company. Others had joined because Nokia inspired them. Then he said words that would echo across the business world. "We didn't do anything wrong, but somehow we lost." Think about those words. At first, they sound heartbreaking, but are they completely true? Did Nokia really do nothing wrong? Or was the biggest mistake believing that doing what had worked yesterday would still work tomorrow? Sometimes good isn't enough. Sometimes being the best isn't enough, because the world doesn't stop changing just because you've reached the top. Imagine climbing the highest mountain. Would you stop paying attention to the weather? Would you stop preparing for tomorrow? Of course not, because staying at the top is often harder than reaching it. That's the lesson Nokia taught the world. Innovation is not something you do once, it's something you choose every single day. The company that once reinvented itself from paper mills to rubber to cables to telecommunications had forgotten the very lesson that made it successful, the courage to transform. But here's what many people don't realize. This wasn't the end of Nokia, not completely, because sometimes losing one chapter creates the opportunity to begin another. And what happened next proved that even after one of the greatest business collapses in history, hope still remained. To be continued.
What if I told you this isn't really the story of Nokia? It's the story of every business, every entrepreneur, every leader, and maybe it's the story of you. Because sooner or later, every one of us reaches a moment where we must choose, stay comfortable or change. Today, when people hear the name Nokia, many think of the phones they once owned, the unforgettable ringtone, the legendary durability, the battery that seemed to last forever. For millions of people, Nokia wasn't just a phone, it was part of their lives, their first phone call, their first text message, their first connection to the world. That kind of legacy can never be erased. But history remembers Nokia for something else as well. A lesson, perhaps the greatest business lesson of the modern era. The biggest danger isn't competition. The biggest danger is believing you're too successful to change. Think about that. Apple didn't destroy Nokia. Android didn't destroy Nokia. Success destroyed Nokia, because success created comfort, comfort created complacency, and complacency slowed innovation. Have you ever noticed how quickly the world changes? What was revolutionary yesterday becomes ordinary tomorrow. What dominates today can disappear tomorrow. That's true for companies, it's true for careers, and it's true for life. But here's the beautiful part of this story. Nokia didn't disappear. After selling its mobile phone business, the company returned to its roots as a technology innovator. It focused on telecommunications infrastructure, network equipment, 5G technology, cloud networking, research and innovation. The Nokia that exists today is very different from the Nokia most people remember. Smaller, different, but still alive, still innovating, still contributing to the future of global communications. Think about that. Sometimes survival doesn't mean holding on to the past. Sometimes survival means having the courage to become something new. Isn't that what life asks of all of us? To evolve, to learn, to adapt. The companies that survive aren't always the strongest. They're the ones willing to reinvent themselves before the world forces them to. And maybe that's why Nokia's story is so powerful, because it reminds us that reaching the top is never the finish line. It's only the beginning of a new challenge. The challenge of staying curious, the challenge of staying humble, the challenge of never believing you've learned everything. Imagine if Nokia had embraced change just a little earlier. Imagine if it had moved faster. Imagine if it had challenged its own success before competitors did. History might have been very different. But history isn't written with what if, it's written with choices, and every choice creates a future. So if you're building a business, never stop learning. If you're chasing a dream, never stop adapting. If you've already achieved success, never let success become your comfort zone. Because the moment you stop growing, someone else starts. The story of Nokia isn't a story about failure. It's a story about the price of standing still in a world that never stops moving. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson of all. Every empire must continue earning its place. Every leader must continue learning. Every dream must continue evolving. Because greatness isn't measured by how high you climb. It's measured by how willing you are to climb again when the mountain changes. Remember this. Today's winner can become tomorrow's lesson. But today's lesson can become tomorrow's comeback. And that is why hope should never die. Because every company, every entrepreneur, every empire, every legend started from zero. And every future begins with the courage to change.